I tested 35 different bars and narrowed it down to the best of the best so that you know exactly what to grab and what to skip with confidence. I bought every chocolate protein bar, or as close to chocolate as possible, that I could find at my local grocery store. I also only pulled bars from the actual protein bar section, so nothing like protein chips, protein Pop-Tarts, or protein cookies. Before we dive in, I'm Lacey. I'm a personal trainer, nutrition expert, and mom of 4. I've lost over 50 pounds more than once, and I've kept it off for years. And I've also helped hundreds of women build habits that actually stick. There are so many bars out there, and they all claim to be healthy. But just because it says protein on the label doesn't mean it actually is good for you or even that it tastes good. Before I dive into the Cleanish ratings or let my family blindly taste any of these, I need to narrow this lineup down. There are a lot of bars here and not all of them deserve to be in the running. So I'm setting some baseline rules to weed a few out, starting with what I call the Snickers Rule. You might be surprised which ones don't even pass the Snickers test. Here's what that means. A regular Snickers bar has 4 grams of protein, 26 grams of added sugar, and 12 grams of total fat. So to even qualify for this taste test and full review, a bar needs to have more than 4 grams of protein, less than 26 grams of added sugar, and less than 12 grams of total fat. And honestly, that is not a high bar to clear.
Wow, that's bad.
If a protein bar can't even beat a candy bar, it's out. Applying this rule, I can eliminate the following bars. Think Thunderbird, Verb, Power Crunch, MedRx, Tao's Bakes, Gatorade, Nix, Kind, Kate's Real Food, Zing, Bobo's Protein, IQ Bar, and Anabar. I wasn't super surprised by a few of these. The Gatorade bar, for example, has a whopping 57 ingredients. And even though I've told Dustin and the kids that MedRx bars are basically a Snickers with protein, they still grab them at the store. But a few bars surprised me. Thunderbird, for example, it's tasty, made with great ingredients, and it's super clean, but it just doesn't have enough protein to actually qualify as a protein bar. Then there are the ones that a lot of people assume are healthy, like Kind bars. Most of them have barely more protein than a Snickers. Though I should also note that I was actually surprised that a Snickers bar only has 12 grams of fat. It wound up weeding out a few bars that I thought would make it further, which you'll see later. To be clear, I'm not saying that fat is bad. I eat plenty of healthy fats, but in a protein bar, that fat to protein ratio really matters, especially if you're tracking macros or trying to stay full without blowing your calories. Which brings me to one more, Tao's Bakes. It has 26 grams of fat. That's more than double what's in a Snickers.
That's a lot.
Now, yes, the fats are coming from good sources like almonds and coconut, but that's still half the fat I aim for in an entire day. Now that we've weeded out the bars that didn't even beat a Snickers, the next step is to look at total protein.
Okay, got protein, we need protein.
Personally, I think a bar has to have at least 10 grams of protein to even count as a protein bar. Otherwise, why not just mix a scoop of collagen into your coffee and get the same amount or more with way less sugar and junk? So with that in mind, I'm eliminating any bar that has 10 grams of protein or less. So that means these 3 didn't make the cut. Bearded Brothers, Kai's, and 88 Acres. Their ingredients aren't bad, but with just 5 to 8 grams of protein and at least 10 grams of fat, that's not enough to earn a spot in the lineup. So at this point, we've gone from 35 bars down to 18, which already says a lot. Next, we're looking at added sugar. Using a Snickers bar as the first cut, that was generous. Now, personally, I don't love seeing any added sugar in a protein bar, but realistically, with most bars, you're probably gonna get a little. So I'm setting a new rule, no more than 10 grams of added sugar. Honestly, 10 grams is still too high in my opinion, but if a bar goes over that, it's not one I can confidently recommend. So that means we're cutting out 3 more, Cliff Bar, Go Macro, and Nugo Dark. With 12 to 15 grams of added sugar, I just can't recommend them as good protein bar options. Honestly, not even good energy bar options with so much added sugar. That brings us to our final list of 15 bars that passed all 3 filters. Now, before I get into the full Cleanish scores, I thought it'd be fun to see how these bars hold up in real life without the nutrition labels or marketing. So I grabbed the top 15 bars and had my whole family do a taste test and compare them. No labels, no macros, just taste and texture. I also took notes on which ones were husband approved or kid approved, while they tried everything, because we all know how hard it can be to make everyone happy when trying new healthy foods. I'm gonna be using what I call the Cleanish grading system. It's 5 simple categories, all scored out of 10. And just to be clear, when I say Cleanish, I don't mean perfect, but they do need to be worth it, with real ingredients, balanced macros, and yeah, they have to taste good. It's the same standard we make our own products for Cleanish. We're looking for the perfect combination of taste, texture, and quality ingredients. Here's what I'm looking at. Protein to calorie ratio. Protein is the whole point of a protein bar, so I wanna know I'm actually getting a decent amount for the calories. I'm looking at how much protein a bar has relative to the total calories. Something with 20 grams of protein and 200 calories, that's solid, but 10 grams of protein and 250 calories, not so great. The better the protein density, the higher the score. Sugar and sweeteners. This score isn't just about how much sugar is in the bar, it's also about how it's sweetened. I looked at added sugar first, obviously, the less the better. Bars that use a ton of sugar alcohols in huge amounts, that's gonna bring the score down. Because let's be honest, if it messes with your gut or leaves a weird aftertaste in your mouth, it's not really a win.
My tummy hurts.
Ingredient quality. I care about what's actually in these bars, not just the macros. Are they whole foods? Can I pronounce everything? Is it full of gum, isolates, or artificial stuff? I'm looking for bars that are made with real food, not a science experiment. So fewer, better ingredients means a higher score. Taste and texture. This one's pretty straightforward. Does it taste good, and what's the texture like? Some bars are chalky or gritty, others are so sweet they taste like candy, some taste like plastic or chemicals even, because if it tastes bad, it doesn't matter how healthy it is, you're not gonna eat it. And cost. For cost, I'm not just looking at the price, I'm looking at the value. Some of these bars are over $2.50 and still don't deliver great protein or ingredients. So I scored cost relative to everything else in the lineup, not just the price tag. So let's get started. Let's begin with the bars I wouldn't personally buy again from our top 15. If you've got other options, and you do, I'd skip these. We have No Cow, which I've never had before. It has 20 grams of plant-based protein in there, so let's see how it goes. Uh-oh. Looks pretty dry. I don't think it's supposed to crumble as you're getting out of the case. It's really dry. That's not gonna score well.
That was awful. I gave it a 1. It tasted like chemicals. The texture was awful.
Yeah.
A 1.
Okay.
I really like the texture.
Nance.
I gave it a 10.
Oh, really? Oh no, you gave it 5.
I went with a 3.
Okay.
Because I hated the I bit it, I'm like, this is chalk.
Yeah.
This is awful.
Again, you get
Great macros, but nobody wanted to finish it. This was one of the lowest taste scores across the board for all of us. 5.4 out of 10. This one's called Battle Bars. It's a crispy protein bar, so it's actually kind of lighter. It still feels substantial. It has 17 grams of protein, almost 30 carbs, and 7 grams of fat. This thing is kind of a beast. See through the chocolate coating that it's pretty much just crunch. Here's the crispy stuff inside. I am very underwhelmed. I was really excited to get this bar because I thought it was gonna be really crispy. But it's cool that it's veteran owned, but it just did not hit for me.
I gave it a 3 out of 10. I didn't like that taste, and the texture was a bit weird. The taste was and then the texture was kind of awkward to eat.
I liked it a little more. To me, it kind of tasted like a healthy Rice Krispie treat. So
Yeah.
I wound up putting it at a 6.
It was rather bad. Like, it had that weird taste as well at the same time.
For me, this one fell short of the crispy texture it boasted about on the label. The only positive score it got was from my husband, but everyone else was so low it didn't even matter. 5.5 out of 10. Now we have Raw Rev. Ingredients aren't the best, but it is a plant-based protein bar. So the texture is nice. It even has little pockets of like softened like chocolate. It has a pretty distinct protein powder flavor though.
The flavor was a 0.
That initial bite of texture has a lot of promise. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this could almost be like a brownie. And then it's like, oh God, no. It
Yeah.
doesn't taste like a brownie.
Yeah.
And the chocolate flavor was just kind of fake tasting the more I ate it.
Yeah.
I want to be a 1.
A 1. This one looked like it should work, but it didn't pass the texture or the taste test. We all agreed it's a no. 5.6 out of 10. Next up is Mind Right. It's really dark. So it has a lot of good ingredients in it, but the second ingredient is like a prebiotic vegetable fiber, which is probably used to hold it together. But that's surrounded by things like almond butter, coconut sugar, dates, and such. So kind of a weird combination of ingredients. a really interesting flavor, and it's decent flavor. It's like a deep chocolate with like almonds. But the texture is kind of like you think it's gonna be chewy and then it's dry. But it's like both of those together at the same time, which is really confusing. It's neat that it has different like neurotropics in it. So that's kind of a neat addition to a bar I haven't seen before.
I gave it a 2. I didn't like the texture.
2 for the flavor.
Okay, all right. Nah. I love the idea of functional ingredients, but this one was weird. With each bite, we all disliked it more, unfortunately. 5.7 out of 10. This one is called Quantum. It has natural caffeine in there, 100 milligrams of it. So they say it's like an 8-ounce coffee plus 10 grams of protein. It definitely tastes more like real foods, but it's overall kind of dry. Personally,
It was okay on both. So I like the taste, and the texture was okay. It could have been better.
It just didn't feel like it was good enough quite to be in the tier of like I would buy you again.
Okay.
You know?
Didn't stand out in the taste test or ingredients or experience. 5.8 out of 10. Next up, we'll go over the bars I'm referring to as middle of the road. These bars were just okay. Nothing too exciting, but not bad enough either to completely dismiss. Now I have a Fit Crunch. It looks very much like a gym bro bar. It has only 16 grams of protein in it. And 3 grams of sugar, and it's a chocolate chip cookie bar. It does have 11 grams of fat. Okay, well it's kind of neat. It has a little drizzle on there. So I'm actually pretty surprised. The taste and texture is pretty solid in this one. It has multiple layers of texture. Did not expect I would like the texture or the taste of this one, but it's pretty good.
Give it a 4. The sweetness makes it so that it's like tolerable.
It was okay on both accounts. Went with a 6 because it reminded me of a power crunch bar. Plus memories of flavor.
Give it a 3. It was very sweet. I like the texture for the most part. It was a little ultra processed.
2 for texture.
If you're just going for taste and protein, Fit Crunch delivers. It's sweet, it's chocolatey, and honestly, it's kind of like a candy bar with macros. And if you're getting 16 grams of protein for 210 calories, that's pretty solid. But it does come at a cost, over 30 ingredients and 8 grams of sugar alcohols. It just has too much going on ingredient-wise to fit my Cleanish standards. 5.8 out of 10. This was the closest I could find of this brand Unite to chocolate, and it is Chiro. 9 grams of fat and 11 grams of protein. Not a huge fan of the macro piece. Looks pretty similar to an RX bar. Smells like a churro. It gets stuck in your teeth a little bit, and the flavor is kind of mellow. So I do like that there are almonds and dates and almond butter in here. It also has little whey protein crisps, which are the little white pieces. But it has, from what I can tell, the first like 6 ingredients, like 4 of them are different types of sugar. So definitely has a lot of added sweetness.
I think it was just a little too dry and a little too mellow.
I gave it a 4, 2 for texture, 2 for flavor.
Okay.
The texture okay, I like the flavor okay. Like, I would definitely try other flavors of that brand. It didn't taste chemically to me at all.
Yeah. This one caught my eye for the flavor. Churro really isn't something you see often in a protein bar. And I honestly think its novelty for not being chocolate amongst a bunch of chocolate bars impacted it to have a better score since we were kind of getting chocolated out. The texture was a little grainy and the protein to calorie ratio wasn't great. That said, it did okay in the blind taste test. Not a standout, but not a total flop either. So it lives in the middle with a total score of 5.8 out of 10. Mezcla, which I've never heard of before, a hot chocolate flavor, which I thought was kind of neat because they actually add chipotle pepper to it. Pretty decent protein, not amazing. It's 10 grams of protein in this one. I used to love Nestle Crispy, what are those called? Nestle Crunch when I was a kid. It definitely looks kind of interesting with the crisp there, and it has a chocolate background. So it's crunchy, but not, ooh, I got the kick of the heat too. It's crunchy, but it's not good crunch. The flavor is pretty good though. And I really like that kick of chipotle powder or pepper in the background. It's good, but not nearly what I was hoping for.
I gave it an 8 actually.
Okay.
I liked it. I like the little kick of cayenne in it. I like the crunchiness to it. I mean, maybe it's because it actually felt like it had real texture compared to some of the other ones.
The taste, besides the spice part, I felt like could have been better.
Initial aftertaste was good.
Didn't like it?
I didn't really like the flavor
or the aftertaste.
Okay. It's one of those bars that doesn't scream protein, but everyone kind of liked it. My husband gave it one of his highest scores, and the kids ranked it pretty up there too. But it's not the cleanest. The ingredient list is long, and it leans heavily on sweeteners and additives. It only has 10 grams of protein, so for me, it's more of a snack bar than truly a protein bar. We did all surprisingly like the chipotle pepper kick it had though, which was kind of neat. Total score, 6.1 out of 10.
Now we have the one bar. It's chocolate covered. This is what it looks like. You can see that? It tastes pretty good. It's really sweet. It tastes kind of like cookie dough wrapped in chocolate. One other thing I should say about this is that it's chewy, which I tend to prefer chewy over crumbly. I think most people would, but I don't know. And so this one being chewy gets it a higher score for me on texture.
I feel like it had that protein powder taste in it.
So like a processed whey protein?
Yeah, which I didn't super care for. If it was what I had to eat right then and there,
yeah,
I would be like, that's fine.
I give it a 2, one for the texture, one for the flavor.
And if someone who liked that a lot, I could see being like, oh, I'm having a healthy version of it and liking it more than me, but I don't really like milk chocolate candy bars, right? So
what's that?
Gave it a 4.
I gave it a 5. It reminded me of a Whopper. I like the texture and I like the taste, but to like a mellow account. Good texture and good taste.
It has 20 grams of protein and no added sugar, but that's because it's packed with sugar alcohols, which can upset your stomach if you're sensitive. The taste is decent. It's more fake candy than real though, and the ingredient list is super processed, so I don't reach for it often. Total score, 6.3 out of 10.
Quest bar. This used to be my go-to bar before I really started eating clean. It has great macros. That's about what it has going for it. It actually has more carbs than I would have expected it to have, but it has 21 grams of protein. The issue that I've usually had with this one is that it's highly processed. So right off the bat, it looks pretty processed. It's been emulsified pretty far. The texture is better than some of the others, and it tastes kind of like a candy bar. It's pretty sweet, which I think is why it's my son's favorite. So I'm interested to see on the blind taste test later what he says about this one.
So didn't like it as much as I was expecting.
Okay.
I was really hoping it would be like cookie dough. I ate it, the texture was a bit weird, and the taste was not the best.
A little like chemically, not like awful.
Really sweet.
I gave it a 1 for the texture.
It's got 21 grams of protein, no added sugar, and only 190 calories. So the macros are impressive, but the flavor is just okay. And the ingredient list, while not the worst, still has a lot of processed stuff. Total score, 6.4 out of 10.
Now we're trying the Fulfil Bar. The macros are pretty good on this. So it does contain sugar alcohols. It's like really tiny comparatively. It's kind of interesting. It has a little bumpy texture on there. So the texture was surprisingly good. It's kind of like a chewy Mars bar. The flavor tastes like protein powder though. The first ingredient is a whey protein isolate. It definitely comes through that way. And that's how they get the protein in there too. So it's usually one of the downfalls of higher protein bars is they taste like protein powder.
Give it a 5. I did a 5 out of 10.
Most of us just kind of thought it was fine, not amazing. Where it loses points is the ingredients. 26 total, including artificial sweeteners and lots of fillers, so it's definitely not Cleanish. It's a reasonable, passable, non-amazingly flavored option. Total score, 6.7 out of 10. The next group are the bars that I'd actually buy again. They're the ones that balance taste and nutrition without a ton of junk.
So Built Bar is super hot right now. Supposed to taste like a marshmallow covered in chocolate. I don't usually care too much for marshmallows, so we'll see how this goes. It's so much chewier.
I gave it a 10.
I felt like it was more like a marshmallow bar, but I like
Yes.
that about it.
The same. I would not get it again. But it wasn't like so awful I had to not finish my piece and like spit it out,
Yeah.
you know?
I really liked the texture.
Yeah, okay.
It was kind of like a candy bar.
You can get 17 grams of protein in just 140 calories, which is impressive. But this bar relies on sugar alcohols, palm oil, and stabilizers to make it taste like a treat. It's not something I'd grab as a clean snack, but if you want a dessert-style protein hit, this is it. Total score is 7 out of 10.
Now we have the Aloha Bar. I first heard of this bar because my mother-in-law gave it to me and I was pleasantly surprised by the ingredients. Let's see if I am pleasantly surprised by the taste. Definitely has like a strong kind of peanut butter texture and flavor. And after trying some of the others that have different textures, I'm not as big of a fan of this one.
I liked it.
Okay, what'd you like about it?
I liked the texture and the flavor, but I didn't really like how there was nuts in it.
I don't like this.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it was, the texture was like kind of like cookie dough, which I didn't really mind the texture.
Yeah.
But the flavor, I really didn't like.
I liked the texture this time, and I did not like the flavor. It tasted almost alcohol-y or chemically.
I like the texture, but the taste was lacking.
I like the texture. The taste I did not like.
If ingredients are your top priority, Aloha is one of the better bars on the list. It's organic, plant-based, and made with mostly real food. It has 14 grams of protein, which is great, but the flavor just didn't win anyone over in the blind test. It also has 4 grams of added sugar. It's dense, a little dry, and really not something I'd crave. Still, it's one of the cleanest options out there, so if you're okay with sacrificing some flavor for better ingredients, this is a better choice. Total score, 7.3 out of 10.
Now we have Bear Bells, which I've had before and I've enjoyed. I'm interested to see how it stacks up in relation to all the other ones today. This one's really popular also. See on the top, that's the crunchy, and then inside, it's kind of a chewy, smooth texture. I have the feeling in the back of my throat of it's too sweet, but overall, the texture combination of the crunchy and the chewy is really pleasant. It does taste a little fake and overly sweet.
I felt like the texture wasn't half bad, but like I couldn't get over the taste just wasn't good.
I like the texture.
I gave it a 10. 5 for texture, 5 for flavor. I really liked it.
It was a little too sweet for me.
Bear Bells Cookies and Cream is honestly one of the better tasting non-clean bars I've ever tried. It has 20 grams of protein and 0 grams of added sugar, which sounds great, but the flavor comes from artificial sweeteners, processed oils, and a long list of additives. If taste is your top priority and you're okay with it being more of a protein candy bar that tastes a little artificial, this one delivers. Total score, 7.7 out of 10.
RX bars are a bar I usually grab. It's more substantial than some of the others, and it definitely tastes like it has real ingredients in it. One thing I do want to say is that I think it's really neat that RX bar lists the ingredients. However, it's kind of misleading because it makes you think that's all that's in there. If you actually turn it around, they include other ingredients. So according to this, on the front, it would only have 4 ingredients, but on the back, they also include natural flavors and sea salt and cocoa, which I feel is kind of misleading for the brand.
I did an 8 out of 10. I really liked the texture and I really liked the taste a lot. And the sea salt on it.
I really liked basically all of it.
Because I really did like the texture. The flavor was healthier. It feels healthier.
It has 12 grams of protein, 0 added sugar, and it's made entirely with real whole food ingredients. So that does add to its total sugar, which is 14 grams and not very low. It is a little higher in fat than I'd like. It has 8 grams of fat for 12 grams of protein. But compared to most bars, this one is solid. Total Cleanish score is 8.4 out of 10. So if I had to recommend just one bar from this list, it's the RX bar. It's the one I actually eat, it's the one I feel good recommending, and it's the one that checks every Cleanish box. There's no added sugar, it has real ingredients, and it has enough protein to matter. All right, after reading every label, scoring every bar, and taste testing with my entire family, here's what really stood out, and honestly, it surprised me.
Wow, that is a surprise.
Number 1, just because it's called a protein bar doesn't mean it is. Some of these barely crack 10 grams of protein, and that's just not enough, especially if the bar is also packing a bunch of sugar and fat. Number 2, way too many bars are basically candy with protein. I was pretty discouraged reading through all the ingredient lists, and honestly, I'd just go with the Snickers bar over some of these if I really wanted a candy bar. Number 3, a clean, great tasting, high protein bar is still hard to find. This is honestly what I think is missing from the protein bar market. You can get 2 of the 3, clean, tasty, and high protein, but rarely all 3. Most of the time, if I have the option, I'd rather just grab a Cleanish protein shake and a piece of fruit. It has better macros and better digestion, and I know exactly what I'm getting. If you want to see how all the bars scored side by side, I made a free protein bar guide for you. It has my final rankings and Cleanish criteria, and I'll drop the link below. It's totally free, and it'll help you make better choices next time you're standing at the bar aisle wondering what's actually worth it. And if you have a favorite bar I didn't test, or if you want me to do this again with another category, let me know in the comments. I would love to do a part 2. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.